the Karnataka to move to Supreme Court in Jayalalitha's case. This is what is the first article on 02nd June 2015. Now, disproportionate assets case. Let us see the history. Michael D. Cunha, John Michael Cunha, he convicted Jayalalitha for 4 years of imprisonment and 100 crores of penalty in disproportionate assets case. And later, Justice Kumaraswamy of Karnataka High Court acquitted her. So that's the reason why she escaped the disqualification, or else, she is able to contest for the elections now, and she took over as the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu. So in this context, if you see the Representation of People's Act, any person who is convicted under Prevention of Corruption Act, he or she cannot contest the elections or cannot be a representative for 6 years plus period of conviction. So under these circumstances, Jayalalitha, as she was acquitted, she got a relief from this particular act of disqualification, and she was able to continue as the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu. And coming to Sri Lankan issue, we all know that recently Oakland Institute has given its study on Sri Lanka. So what it has said is the primary problem is militarization of Sri Lanka. So many of the functions which have to be performed by the civilian authorities, even now they are being performed by the military authorities. Education, commercial functions, even policing functions, everything are performed by the military. So the primary need in the Sri Lanka is about demilitarization. And the second thing is, the reconciliation phase has started. It is a positive step. But however, the delegation of powers to the northern and eastern councils, so development of a true federalism, these things not had been taken shape. And after that, the missing persons. So especially many of the missing politicians and the inquiry into the war crimes is not onto the right path. So unless this particular hope is being built among the minorities in the country's path towards the development and future cannot be certain. And another issue is much of the land of the displaced people is in the possession of the military. Though the government has started giving back this land to the people, the process is highly slow-paced, so it has to be speeded up. And next is, this again, I say Shiva Shunadhan is a pain. It is a double pain, this article is. So if you see this very badly written article, so one thing is, a full stop comes at, he starts the article, almost kind of some 250 words or something he uses to come to a full stop or complete a sentence. It's a very badly written article. But however, there are certain carry points to this with regard to the development. So what is meant by this development here? So he talks contrary to the development or this is a good topic for antithesis to development in public administration. So anti-development thesis is there in syllabus. The article talks about is this. Now in India, the democracy is weakening and it is taking more and more an American style. So in where electioneering is a public relations management in America, where the public relations companies were hired to change the public opinion and media channels are also involved in this exercise. So the victory of Prime Minister Modi in the general elections, it just shows this public relations management of American style of engineering or electioneering. And the second thing is, the loss of BJP in 9 months in the capital Delhi, it represents the people preparedness to correct the past. But I am doubtful, is Delhi its alone is a solution or it's a special case? Can we draw any inferences alone from the Delhi? And the second thing is, he talks about the developmental model. So the first thing is the polarization of thought and development. So what is this polarization of thought? The major thing is the resources and opportunities are taken away for the poor people of both urban and rural India. So the poor people are not getting benefited from this, or the resources are drifting away from the poor people without their cognizance. In the process, the middle class is trying to realize its aspirations. So this development is building new hopes and aspirations in the middle class, and in spite of poor at the loss. So that's what is very much lopsided. What he says is, the third thing is, development made the state as an intermediary with regard to the taking away of these resources, especially the land acquisition, and also made it to surrender its authority to the moving foreign capital across the countries. It means the foreign capital is determining the development. So, as foreign capital is important, the countries are surrendering their authority, the states are surrendering their sovereignty to this foreign capital. And finally, there is on the labor front, there is informalization of labor. So, the first thing is polarization of the development towards only one developmental model. So if you take the BJP in power, Congress in power, even to that extent to leftists are also in power, they are going through the same polarized model of development. And the second thing, what are the consequences of this development? Alienation of the resources from the poor and informalization of the labor, state becoming an intermediary for the multinational corporations, and also surrendering its sovereignty for the highly mobile foreign capital. So these are the things which he talked about. So what he says is the corruption of politicians, administrators, it is only a superficial corruption. There is a deep-rooted structural corruption in the country which is at the fundamental level of ideology of development. So the ideological polarity that is developing among the political parties on development is a dangerous trend, and this is only favoring the globalization. Again, my opinion on this. So this is purely a leftist article. So understand, if you take the development of different regions in the country, the growth paved a way for the development. Either you take the Southeast Asian model of development, especially the growth of Malaysia, Singapore, South Korea, etc. Or the second, even a leftist country such as China has went to the growth model where growth can create the opportunities. No opportunities without growth. So growth and distribution of the growth, we need to develop the institutional capacities. So the primary requisite for the development is growth. Without growth, there cannot be development. And so growth can exist without development. So our effort has to institutionalize the development through spreading of the growth. That's what is the thing. So this is purely article based on this. And Andhra Pradesh, the new state, and has got its teething problems. So Prime Minister Manmohan Singh gave it on the floor of the house that it will get the necessary budgetary support to fill its budgetary deficit. In spite of this, there is a two-wide fiscal and budgetary deficit to the tune of 17,000 crores. And the support from the center, it appears to be very distant, and it's not going to, mostly it's not going to get. And the second thing is the special status. So the government is talking about many technical reasons to grant the special status. And lack of capital of its own. So it is unable to attract the investors to the state, and many of the people are on wait and watch. So the government promised the tax sops to the state, but no tax sops are about to come up. It means that the investors' flow to the state might be minimal. Next is the Chandrababu Naidu Chief Minister, he wants to bring in the various projects and capital building on a PPP mode. So such a long-term infrastructure projects, viability gap is going to be, viability is a major challenge. So the center has viability gap funding mechanism, but however, there is a little hope that the funds flow from this center's viability gap funding. And another thing is, the entire missionary employees, they are not willing to leave Hyderabad and move to Vijayawada or Amravati, stating the reasons that there is no proper infrastructure to work over there. So because of these problems, there is a gloomy situation on the eve of a new state formation in Andhra Pradesh. And the next is President Pranab Mukherjee has visited Sweden, and they resumed the strategic talks. And now the Sweden also expressed its willingness to be the part of the India's defense sector, especially under the Make in India program. And the important article is NSA can no longer spy on Americans. So NSA, the USA Patriot Act, it has come up after the 9/11 attacks in 2001. So it's a sunset legislation. It means that after 25 years, I think, it's going to automatically lapse itself. So this after 20 years, it automatically lapses itself. The Snowden event, it showed to what extent the spying on the citizens exists. So in this context, the loss of this particular or removal of this particular law, it's going to provide for a new hope to right to privacy in America. So and again, but however, the law still continues to operate against the foreigners. So they can state spy on its own citizens in the name of protecting them. So it can a law give a blanket approval for that particular spying. So these are the various questions that have come up about the right to privacy and freedom of the citizens to speak. And next is, let's revise all these things. One more thing is, which I did not cover, is the Kakinada. There is Chinese investments are coming up. So if you see, there is a Shenzhen SEZ in China. This Shenzhen SEZ is a coastal SEZ, and next to it there is Guangzhou. So here, these two SEZs, they are the most successful SEZs in China. This is mostly for electronics. This is also near to it, there are electronics and furniture. So in this context, the same model China is trying to bring in Kakinada. So the Chinese development bank, Guangzhou International Investment Corporation, both of them are bringing in the investments to the new front onto the east coast. It is the new hope that is bringing in towards the newly created state of Andhra Pradesh. What is the reason China is coming up? There are overcapacities created in China, and these overcapacities have to be utilized. And the second thing is, China is trying to enter into high-tech segments, high-value segments such as information technology. India and IT majors such as TCS, they are helping the China on this front. And next is, so I have given you the notes here. Please go through that of today's articles which are being talked about by me. Thank you very much.